Hi everyone, you've made it to the last module. In this one, we're going to go over the finer points of how to collect and submit data each week once the milkweed that you cut back starts to regrow. This version is for people who are working with 2 milkweed patches. So if you're working with just one, you're going to want to back up and pick the video for folks working with just one patch. So here's how the timing should work. After you cut back your milkweed stems, it usually takes between 1 and 3 weeks for new stems to show up. The exact timing is going to depend on how much rain you get, what soil type you have, etc. Anyway, once you have at least one stem with an inch of new growth on it, you can start submitting data. And starting at this point, we're hoping you'll visit your pair of milkweed patches once a week for at least 4 or 5 weeks, although going longer is even better. And your visits don't need to be exactly weekly. If you're off by a few days, that's no big deal. And if you miss a week entirely because you went on vacation or you forgot or something, that's okay. You can start back up the following week and your observations will still be useful for this study. So there are 3 ways to record and submit your observations. First, you can use a Google form. Under detailed instructions on the website, you'll find a link to it under step 5, and you should be able to use the Google form from your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, etc. Second, you can download an app that we designed. It contains the same questions as the Google form, just as a smartphone app. To download the app, you'll need to navigate to the detailed instructions on our website using your phone or tablet rather than a computer, and then tap the link to download it. And this will have you download something called AppSheet, and then our app comes along with it. The only tricky thing about the app is some of the questions are worded for folks with 1 milkweed patch, not 2, but I'll try to walk you through the app so hopefully it'll still make sense to you. The third option is there's a link next to these others to a PDF form that you can print out, fill out by hand. If you choose this method, you'll need to take a picture of the form and scan it after you've filled it out and send it back to us by email. Our email address is on the website. It's msuregrow@gmail.com. So the Google form and the paper sheet are tailored to folks with 2 patches, so if the app thing is confusing, just use one of the other options, whatever is easiest for you. So I'll show you how to fill out the data using the app, but it's the same information no matter what method you're using. If you're using the app, you might need to sign in using your credentials for Google, or there's a couple other options. And we can't see any of this stuff, it's just a security measure that the app has in place. Next, if the data entry form doesn't pop up automatically in the app, you might need to tap Add New Weekly Data at the bottom of your screen to bring it up. Then the first thing you'll want to enter each week is the PIN for your pair of milkweed patches so that we can link this data to the other data that you've submitted. And we'll start by looking at the patch that contains regrowing milkweed stems that you cut back. The app says to enter the number of regrowing stems, but since you're using 2 patches, you'll actually want to count up the number of stems in the entire patch where you did the cutting treatment, not just the new stems. And next, you'll count up monarch eggs and caterpillars, and again, you'll want to search all of the stems in the patch, not just the regrowing stems. We're putting monarchs into 3 categories: eggs, caterpillars under 1 inch long, and caterpillars that are 1 inch or longer. Those are the 15 stars. So once you've done this, you'll just want to repeat all those same steps, but for the whole patch that you left alone. And it's important to spend the same amount of effort looking in both patches so that we can make a fair comparison between the 2 of them. So once you've entered all the information, there's a space for comments at the bottom, and then you just have to hit save and your data should be uploaded to us. If you missed a question, it won't let you save it until you fill in a number. Even if that number is 0, you need to fill it in. After you hit save, while the data is still uploading, you'll see a little orange circle with a 1 in the upper corner of the app. And once this goes away, it means we should have your information and you're all set for the week. So now that you know how to enter and submit the data, here's a little more on our technique for looking over a milkweed stem and trying to find the eggs and caterpillars. So first, you'll want to give the stem a general look over. Sometimes there's an obvious egg or caterpillar that you'll see right away. Also, sometimes you can see latex and feeding damage where there's a caterpillar feeding. Next, you'll want to gently check each leaf, working from bottom to top. Often the eggs are on the leaf undersides, so be sure to check those too. Once you get to the upper leaves, you can sort of work the stem back and forth to see all the surfaces pretty easily. And finally, then it's important to pull apart the new growth at the top and look in there. Early instar caterpillars like to hide in here and they can be easy to miss. The process of looking over a stem might take you a while the first few times, but after you get the hang of it, you'll be able to move pretty fast. And you'll repeat this process for every stem in this half of the milkweed patch. So here's some more information about how to identify monarch eggs. They're just over 1 millimeter or 1/20th of an inch tall, and they're sort of barrel shaped, and they're a little thicker at the base than they are towards the top. They're yellow and they have vertical ribs that look a bit like stripes. When they're just about to hatch, they can turn brownish or purplish, and then they become totally transparent, so you can see a black dot inside, which is the caterpillar's head. The easiest thing to confuse monarch eggs with is dried up latex from the milkweed plant, which can turn a yellowish color. You might find it helpful to use a magnifying glass if you have one, just to make sure you're looking at an egg and not latex. And here are a couple more photos of monarch eggs just to help you form a search image in your brain. When you're looking for monarch caterpillars, monarchs are pretty distinctive looking. If it's on a milkweed stem and it has black, yellow, and white stripes, then it's probably a monarch caterpillar. Here they are in some of their earlier growth stages. And here are some once they've reached the 5th instar and are more than 1 inch long. Monarch caterpillars are trickiest to find and identify when they've just hatched. At this stage, they're really small, about the size of their egg, really. And they can be a sort of beige color instead of being striped with a black head like you see here in the photo on the left. Towards the end of their first instar, they'll start to have some faint stripes like you can see in the photo on the right. Fortunately, the other non-monarch caterpillars that you might see eating milkweed are generally really hairy. So if you see a hairy caterpillar, it's probably not a monarch. Same for if you see a large group of caterpillars feeding together in a tight group. Those are tussock moth caterpillars, not monarchs. You're going to see all sorts of other insects on milkweed stems, and over the course of the summer, we'll try to give you some information on all of them as well. So thanks for watching, and we hope that you'll be participating in this study this summer. Once we've received and organized everybody's data, we'll send out an update every week or two so you can see how the experiment is going. So thanks for watching all the way to the end, and we hope you'll stay connected this summer.